Hello, everybody. Today we're going live with Tanya, and we're very, very excited that she's going to be joining us. Tanya is a super mom. She's an author, mom blogger, healthcare sector professional, content creator, and a social media star. And she's not one of your usual moms, who blogs. And of course, she's going to be sharing her journey with us. So we're very, very excited that Tanya is going to be joining us today. And of course, I can see Anushka from my team here. Maybe she can check where Tanya is. And just to tell you all about the Women Inspiring Network, we are an inspirational storytelling platform which inspires women in our country. It's a movement to pay it forward. We're doing very, very exciting events. Of course, our recent ones was the panel discussions with US Embassy. We have another fashion one coming up on October 20th. So do watch out our space for more. And if you think your friends want to join our network, do tell them to log on to our website, which is the www.womeninspiringnetwork.com, to know more about the new things which would be coming up. And I'm just going to see where is I can see Shamuli who's joined. She's one of our regular people, but where is Tanya? I'm just going to send a request also to Tanya. Let me see where is Tanya. She sent me a request. Hi, Tanya. Okay, I can see you. I accepted your request, Tanya.
Hi, how are
Yes.
you?
Thank you so much, Tanya, for joining us today. And I was telling everybody about you. And you are like a star, being an author, a mommy blogger, a healthcare professional, and a social media star. And, so of course, we're going to dive
Thank
deep
you
into
so
our
much, and thank you for
conversations.
having
Yes.
me.
And so one of my first few questions are, tell us a bit about your journey. You're doing parenting, blogging, healthcare, writing. So, you are actually a super mom and a multifaceted person. So tell us all about your journey and how did you start off?
Thank you so much. So, my background is actually completely different from anything I do on social media. I have a master's in public health and I have my undergraduate degree in economics, psychology, and English. Now, English was just added on in my last year because I've always loved Renaissance literature and I've loved to write. So, I think that little seed to write was always sort of there. And then, post my son being born, I was on maternity leave in New York and I worked full time in healthcare operations. I had grueling hours, but I absolutely loved it. I would run for outpatient centers in the Bronx in the US. I would literally drive between one to the other through the day and manage the teams and the staff. And I was on maternity leave with my son and my surprise pregnancy that he was. And and I started writing notes, and I think I was pretty young. I was 27. I just turned 27, and I was and did not expect to have a child, and I would literally Google and read about everything. None of my friends had kids. Most of my friends weren't married at that point, so I would write down little things that I felt were helpful to me
So let me
onto
tell you
notes on my
something.
phone. Of
I'm in
course,
my 30s, and when I had my daughter in my 30s, and I was still googling stuff. So you'll
absolutely.
always
So that's
Google.
completely normal. But now I hope that one of your Google searches shows up my blog.
Yeah, now she's 5, so
Okay.
you know. But really, really glad. How old are your children, if I may ask?
So my son is 7.5, which is pretty much as long as I've been writing. My blog came first, and then my social media came a few years later. My daughter's 5.
Yeah, and you have 3 pets, so you have five
Yes,
dear
one is
children.
actually sitting on my lap right now.
How
That's
cute.
Phoebe.
Yeah, so I'm so glad. So, of course, you were telling us about your journey, but I'll add one more question to your journey.
Of course.
So, so tell us about your book on parenting and all you need to know about parenting, and how has your experience been being an author? So, if you could throw some light on that, that would be great.
Absolutely. So, being an author is something I always aspired to be. I didn't know what shape or form it would happen, but I'm so happy that it happened and played out the way it did. My book is actually a version of my blog, but I mean, of course, the information is completely different in terms of how it's written. But when that approached me, can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's fine.
So it was
Good.
Penguin that approached me because they liked the blog, and they asked me to see how I could turn that into a book. So the book is different in that it's very anecdotal, it's full of stories, it's full of life. My blog is dry, it's tips and tricks, it's to the point. I think it's a little witty. But the book is spot on with that, and actually took 2 years to rewrite and to edit and to put it all together in the format that it is. But I love the way it turned out. It's a very easy read. People who've read it have said that they've read it in have managed to read it in a night. And I know from the reviews that it's doing well. What it feels like to be an author, I would say, I think I get a lot more attention for my social media than I do for the book, because the social media, which was born about as a way to promote my writing, kind of took over the writing. So I don't think I get down to writing as much as I would like to. But so the influencer tag definitely feels to hold more weight than the author tag, but the author tag is one that I'm definitely more proud of.
Yeah. And, you have such a great following on social media. Give us some tips on that.
Absolutely. So I have to say that with me, for the longest time, and people have a hard time believing this, but my face was nowhere on my page. So it was just little memes and things that I wrote and things that I enjoyed and one-liners that would be on the page. And so my focus was just the content. It was not the numbers. It was not anything. I was hoping to drive traffic to my writing. And that's literally how it was born. And I think one of the reasons it's done so well is because my focus was never the numbers. So I've never been competitive about it. I've never bought followers. I've never not given credit where it's due. Whenever I use someone's memes or humor or even ideas, I always give them credit, because I feel like why shouldn't they grow from that? And I feel like those are the things that have held true to my page throughout, and that's one of the reasons it's grown the way it has. Is just been like I repost people's stuff, they share my content as well and tag me, and that's literally how you grow, is by being supportive and being a community, but also by focusing on the content. So I'm always thinking of how do I make parenting more relatable and less overwhelming for parents.
And you also you have an entrepreneurial journey with the Bazaar R. If you could tell
Yes.
us a bit more about that, that would be really interesting.
Absolutely. So I've actually always had an entrepreneurial streak. I dabbled with something in skincare for almost 2 years and then didn't end up taking that forward. I do work full time in healthcare. I run a cancer center. I'm currently in process of opening a wellness center as well, which should hopefully be up by Diwali. But it's something that I've hinted towards on my page and not spoken about. We're getting there though. Today I think we finally sorted out the name, and so we're starting our branding work. But so I've always had this entrepreneurial streak. The Bazaar Hour is kind of a culmination of that, but I can't say that it's solely mine. The idea was actually my partner Anaga. She runs Playdate, which is a very well-known. Actually an activity website where they have literally every class from shamak to coding and everything under the sun on Playdate. And she sat me down and she said, I have this crazy idea, and I think only you can execute it. And that's how it actually started. It was over a cup of she was having coffee, I was having water at Bombay Gym, and that's literally how the idea came about. And once she floated the idea, she said, I want to do like a live stream marketplace, and it should be where consumers are jumping to shop and they wait to shop, and how do we do this? And she floated the idea, and I played with it, and I thought of brands we could start with and ways we could work and how it would actually be executed, and then we put it together last March 9th, 2020, and our timing was so bad because the pandemic hit 2 days later. So as soon as that happened, we went on hold. But then we resumed again through the pandemic, and I think because parents were home and because their only option was to shop online, the Bazaar gave a great boost to new brands. We worked with 47 brands last year. Most of the brands we work with have come back. There are brands that have come back 3, 4, 5 times at this point and will sell do all their new launches through us. So the Bazaar has been a great place to actually showcase new brands for kids, and at the same time, the consumers get a huge discount because the brands guarantee their lowest prices to us. So it's a win-win on both sides because the brands get publicity and the consumers get great deals. And I know every time I talk about the Bazaar, people get so excited. So I'm so happy to see that enthusiasm because it's truly been like I think we tried to execute it so fast because we had the idea and we wanted to run with it before anyone else did. And I've seen so many people come up with versions of it and stop because it's just not worked. So it's something I'm very proud of.
And tell me, so how has the pandemic been for you since last year? Like, what kept you really positive? I know, like, we all had to reset ourselves, relook at things. So, if you could throw some light on that, that would be interesting.
I don't know how positive I've been because I had pandemic myself, especially being from the healthcare industry. I've seen what was actually happening on the forefront, and it's been terrifying. The first wave and the second wave, even more. Just struggling to get meds for patients and people who would contact me. And of course, now my cancer center is a vaccine center, so I've literally been on the forefront of it. So it's been really scary in a lot of ways. And at the same time, I think initially that first month it was just okay, this will end. There's no way I'm not going to see my best friend for a month, or there's no way that my kids won't go to school. This will get over in a week. They'll come up with something. And I think the whole world was kind of in that mindset where it was temporary. And that's one of the reasons why last March felt like the longest month of anyone's entire existence. But I kept, and I mean, I think initially I wasn't in the best frame of mind. And then I just figured, okay, we're home, we're in this situation. It's going to be here for a while. I didn't think it would be here this long, but it is. And I was just trying to think about how do I make the lives of the people who follow me, because I could see that everyone was online. I was online as well. How do we make their lives easier? So I did two things. One was that I did a live session every single day, through, like, I think I did 90 live sessions. So literally over like 4 or 5 months I did a live every day with a person who I felt would add value to my followers. So a dentist, how do you get your checkups done, someone on women's health, mental health. We did DIYs once to twice a week. I did a live that was for kids, so puppet shows, things like that, things that would be really interesting. Of course, it was all free of charge to boost the businesses and to give people things to do at home. And simultaneously, I did a series where I would call people and ask them to contribute something that they felt was useful. So, for example, I had Zareed Warden on a Saturday night singing from his house with his band, all on FaceTime. And they did like a live with me. They also did videos for me where they were just providing entertainment to my followers. We had workouts, we had activities for kids again. We had workouts for kids. I had Physique 57 do something. So I think I did over 100 of those videos, and that's a series that I still add to as often as I can, because it's just a way to promote small businesses again and to get information to the people who follow me that makes their day a little bit easier. So I think once I got myself so involved and busy and figured out how I want to help and what I want to do, that kept me mentally more positive too.
So that's so interesting that you talked about your life. So actually, the Women Inspiring Network was born last year during the pandemic, and
Okay.
I've always been interested in women leadership. And it became an opportunity for us to sort of put our thoughts together because, of course, I have a communication business.
Okay.
But, it's like, as I said, if you reset yourself and relook at things, and, it was a great community which was born.
Mhm.
So we just don't do things here on Instagram. But we did a session with US Embassy on youth and empowerment where we had
Oh,
women from
lovely.
different walks of life.
Okay.
Then we did one with the IIT, which was on fashion, technology, and sustainability. We
Fabulous.
did one with Jai Hind College, which was on entrepreneurship. And then we did one with the Prem Jain Memorial Trust, where we had OBT Carpets as partners. We had designers like Anju Modi. We had Payal Jain. So, where we were talking about design, art, sustainability, fashion. So we've done a lot of series. So,
Amazing.
we ourselves have, with our film series was on Inox. social media. So we've actually had more than 20-30 million reach,
Wow.
so we would love to, of course, have you on some of our panel discussions also in future, where we have other experts in different domain. but
Absolutely. I
uh,
would love
but
that.
it was really really nice to know like how you kept yourself motivated, inspired, and positive. In fact, I believe you've also forayed into healthcare, and you have a your own venture, Khubchandani Healthcare Private Limited. So if you could tell us a
Yeah.
bit about that, like donning so many hats, and
Absolutely. So that's actually primarily what I do, is that I run a healthcare company. And so I moved from the US to kind of try to take over some of my dad's healthcare interest. It was interest at that point because it wasn't what we do now. And at that point, he was looking at infrastructure and how do we build hospitals. And I took it from there and I said, okay, let's figure out how we can do this without spending years trying to break our heads and actually put that on the ground. My dad's a doctor, and he is also but I was going to say builder, but I would say developer at this point because he's done so much beyond construction. So I run a cancer hospital in collaboration with HCG, which is one of the biggest cancer players in the country. We started it last year, also just before the pandemic, so we never got to do our official launch. But because it was a standalone place for cancer, somehow we ended up driving a lot, actually receiving a lot of the patients that were driven out of normal hospitals because they became COVID hospitals. So the timing worked out. It's quite a sad disease. So its success never really brings me happiness because its success is dependent on people falling sick. But it's so nice to have that in the community. And then through that as well, we're a vaccine center. So we applied to be a vaccine center early this year. And I think since March, we've been a vaccine center as well. And I am proud to say that I vaccinated myself, have vaccinated all the staff of several of us popular South Mumbai schools. So I'm really hoping that once schools open, at least I know that I'm assured that like the bigger schools, the staff has all been vaccinated twice by us. I'm also in the process of opening a dialysis center and a wellness center.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Thank you.
so now I believe I didn't know which city you were. So I think you're from Bombay.
Yes, very
Currently, you're in
much.
Bombay. I used to live in Bombay before I moved to Delhi.
Okay.
So,
So my
so
husband's
that's
from Delhi, and we're always having this Delhi versus Mumbai argument. Though frankly, we both met in New York. So as soon as New York comes up, that wins hands down.
yeah, that's true. I love the city there. And I can see some of your viewers are saying vaccinations are a must. And
Yes, I
yes,
just
that makes
make
us feel proud. And, lots of lovely comments from all our viewers out there. So if you all feel, our viewers, if you think someone has an interesting story to share and an inspirational journey, or someone who's inspired you or motivated you, please do feel free to DM us on Instagram. If someone wants to join our membership club, which is right now open to everybody, then they can, of course, log on to our website, which is womeninspiringnetwork.com. And of course, now that we've reached the end of our session, Tanya, I would like to for you to leave us with a winning message, to
absolutely.
inspire our viewers. So if you could share that with us.
Sure. So actually, something I want to say is that very often when you're starting a new task or a new business or even have a new idea, it feels really overwhelming. But break it down, break it down. So I always sit with a spreadsheet and I'll break down my idea into what I can do right now to research it and then what I actually need. And it'll literally come down to like the wellness center, for example. It came down to, okay, I need 5 recliners and I need a supplier for medication. I need that. So I feel when you have an idea, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to explore. Don't be afraid to take risks. Instead, sit down, think it through, and figure out where you can start. And that usually pushes you past the anxiety of whether I should do it or not. It takes you to, okay, how do I do this? So that's definitely a good way to work through and get things off the ground for all the women entrepreneurs who are listening.
Lovely message. And in fact, I just realized that we never asked you one question. If I can ask you, if you
Of
have a couple
course,
of minutes,
absolutely.
any lessons or learnings you've had in your journey, or any obstacles or something from which you've learned, which you would like to leave our viewers with, that would be really nice.
Of course. So I actually spent 2 years, the better part, I think more than 2 years, working on a skincare company after I moved from New York, which was something I was very keen on doing. I spent a lot of time researching and I had the formulations ready. I invested money as well. Got a formulator, got my whole packaging. I had literally everything ready to go. And then raw material prices changed because of imports. Everything I was getting was 100% certified organic, which is still something that's not available here. And it was all towards the kids space. And I realized that because of import export changing, the price point of the products that I was making were totally much higher than I'd expected. It was double of what I wanted them to be at. And so I actually reevaluated and pulled back that project. And till date, like, I've not done it. I sit on those formulations and I have friends who've used them with super like allergenic and sensitive skin who said that that's the only thing they've ever been able to use. So I know it was good product, but at the same time, you should look at the market and see what people are willing to pay or not. But from that, I learned that, I still feel I learned so much from the amount of research I did and the amount of work I did. I traveled all over getting the formulations done, going to expos in China and sitting with a factory in Noida and working with the formulator from Netherlands. So I just feel like when you have an idea, don't be afraid to try it, even if it's something that doesn't work out, because in the end, I've got a whole bunch of experience that I've learned from it. I can also turn over any bottle of skincare and tell you exactly what's in it and whether it's good for you or not. But so I just feel you learn a lot from your failure as well and from the things that didn't happen. So don't be afraid to go out there and try something that you have your mind on.
That's lovely. And on that note, we shall take your leave, but we look forward to having you on one of our panel discussions
For
soon,
sure. Thank you so much for having
which
me
we
today.
are, of course, doing on Facebook. But thank you so much for joining us today. And Tanya, it was really lovely chatting with you. And
Of
thank you
course,
so much on
lovely
behalf
talking
of
to
the
you as
Women
well.
Inspiring Network. Thank you. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye.